Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Trials of Imagination. Why does it seem like it's shadowy and dark? I don't know. Maybe things are messed up. I'll turn the light brighter. That'll fix it. Yay, that'll show them. Welcome back. I'm back from vacation. Had a great time and excited to get back into some D&D tonight. It's going to be a fun night. It's going to be a special night tonight. We have a little bit of a shakeup. It's going to be a little different than normal. Two of our players were unable to be present tonight. That is within the confines of what we had established before this campaign started, that if we had two missing, we would be fine and proceed, and if it went over two, we would postpone to the next episode. However, due to kind of what's going on at the moment in the campaign, it seemed a better idea to wait until those guys are back and ready to continue on, and a combination of, we have another player that was kind enough to let me know in advance an episode that they would miss, and if we had gone on the same trajectory, she would be missing episode 10, so that's not one we want to miss either, because that's going to be some special stuff on those mile markers. So this kind of works out because it throws both of those off to where neither of those things happen. So instead of the normal episode of the continuation of the campaign, we are going to have a full-blown Q&A tonight. So that means that chat, you guys are going to have a lot of interaction, which is the opposite of normal. So we will get to talk to all of you a whole lot. We'll answer questions. So if any of you have questions about the campaign or the characters or the players or D&D in general, or even, I guess even not, preferably D&D, but I guess anything, that is what we're going to be covering tonight throughout the rest of this session. And for anyone who is here now, if you stick around until the end, there is a little special something that not even the players are aware of that will occur. So make sure to stick around until the end to have a little special surprise. For any of our folks watching on YouTube, this is going to be a little odd one for you. We'll try our best to make sure you know what the heck we are answering. If we answer questions from chat, we'll try our best. It's going to be a little odd. It's a little off-kilter, but it'll be fun. I think it's going to be a good time. So that is pretty much what's going to be going on tonight. For anyone that is new and missed any of the previous stuff, we are going over the campaign Curse of Strahd. It is a homebrew, so it's not by the book, but that is kind of what we're covering. So if you want to look into that, see if that's the type of things that you are interested in, make sure you can come check us out for episode 6 whenever we come back next week. It'll be a fun time. I think it's episode 6. I don't know. I may be bad at math there. But that is all I have. We don't have any giveaways going on tonight. We'll continue that next week. So there's nothing going on there. It's kind of just going to be a chill episode. We're going to relax, talk, have some fun, answer some goofy questions, some serious questions, some questions that you probably will wish you could erase from your memory forever, all of the above. But in the meantime, as always, we're going to have our nice, lovely cinematic intro, and then we will kick right back and relax and enjoy our Q&A episode. So enjoy. And hello, everybody. I think everyone's up. We don't have the nice fancy cinematic like we normally do, or not cinematic, the overlay like we normally do. It's kind of, this is the easiest way with it being a different number and a lot of things last minute to not have all the cameras thrown out of whack and everything. So that is what I have going on. I want to shift my thing up just a little bit because I can see it's going to bother me if I don't do it. There we go. Okay. Nice. So we got that going. Let me give me a little bit of background music just so it's not this weird, awkward silence. Players, I already told Liam this earlier, but everybody was kind of like jumbling around. If you want to hear the background music too, I have it up in Roll20. So if you would like something to fill the silence with, feel free to pull that up and you can control that. So to chat right out the bat, my name is also Matt. So there is a bunch of us everywhere. We are Legion, we are many. I also go by 2-Bit, that is my stream name, so you can call me that. And to answer another question from chat, yes, I'm wearing the Trials of Imagination shirt.
Oh, mine's upstairs.
Repping our merch.
Mine's a sweatshirt.
Yeah, it is incredibly comfortable. It is wonderful. Okay, so yeah, I guess that's fair. So just in case anyone's new, so we'll introduce the crew. We are too short. This is normally a 6-person crew. There are 4.
Short.
Thank you. There are 4 people here. We have Richard Anderson, who is playing the character known as Zyle. We have Captain Bex. Gosh, backwards cameras are making things hard. Who is playing the character Elbereth. We have Liam, who is playing the character Mark. And we have SJ, who is playing the lovely character Ayla. And then I am Matt, aka 2-Bit, and I am the DM for this horrid amalgamation of an adventure. As I said in the announcements, today we are taking a kind of a step back from what we normally do and shifting to actually a full-blown Q&A due to... We've kind of wanted to do one of these anyways, and just with the circumstances of what was going on, it just kind of became the perfect timing to just do it. Ideally, probably wanted to wait a little later, but who cares? We're just going to hop right in and go at this. Thank you, chat. He said you guys look amazing. It's so wonderful and kind. Such a thoughtful thing, as opposed to what the internet comment section can sometimes be like. It's nice to see the positivity. So there's going to be a ton of opportunity to ask any questions from the campaign so far, which is episodes as far as session 0, if you were around to catch that, which is only on Twitch. And so it's gone now. It's lost to the ethos. And then episodes 1 through 5, which are also on Twitch and posted on YouTube after that. So we're going to cover any of that, any questions about characters or players or all of the above. So if any of you have that, go ahead and prop those up and we'll get to answering those. I'm going to start with doing a round robin question for everybody that I think would be an interesting one just to see where everybody was. And I have a D4 with me that I'm going to roll. I've actually assigned each of you numbers randomly. So instead of just picking someone, I'll literally, in spirit of D&D, roll the dice and see who gets to go and who gets to say. But don't worry, we'll talk to everybody. So one of the questions was, in episode 1, things are surprisingly happy and lighthearted for the majority of the episode. It is probably 60% or more tends to go that way, to where it's just kind of chill and relax. Also, what's up, Floorlock? I see you in chat over there. Yes, Richard's beard is always on point. You right. So episode 1, it was very lighthearted for a very long period of time, and all of you kind of knowing what this campaign was going to be about. My question for you guys is, what was going on in your brains as players during this? Was this okay, we're just going to kind of chill in episode 1 and maybe like things are going to get a little crazy in episode 2? Or were you sitting like kind of on pins and needles thinking like, when is the shoe going to drop and this is just going to become absolutely awful? Or just what was going on in your mind in general is going to be the question. So let's roll to see who's going to go first. That is going to be SJ.
Oh, dang it.
Oh, dang it. What you got?
What's going on in my mind for episode 1? Well,
more so just the idea of like, there for so long in episode 1, it was just chill and happy. So it was just like, were you concerned about that,
Well,
or was it?
Because I knew more about stuff because a lot of episode 1 had to do with my character's backstory.
Mhm.
So it was more like waiting for the bomb to drop.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Were you in the back of your mind the whole time? Were you just kind of like when,
Well,
yes, Crumbly SJ is a little quiet for some reason. I'm not sure why, but your volume could go up a little more.
Yeah, here I can.
She's quite nice.
Hello. Is that better?
Hello. There you go.
Hello?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so let me think back. So far back. So that was weeks ago.
Months even.
Let's see. Yeah, so I knew to an extent what was supposed to happen, but not exactly the how it was gonna happen. I had a couple warnings beforehand so I wouldn't lose my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because I put a lot into my character's story. So it was just like I was waiting to get to it, but at the same time I wanted to draw out the experience of being in the festival. So.
Sure. Okay. I'm good with that. What's that? That is Liam. So, Liam, what for the majority of the episode, it was very lighthearted, festive, and everything seemed to be going fine. Was this concerning, or did you think about that at all?
I was just chilling, basically.
All right.
Yeah, I knew that we would eventually get caught up in some mists, but how that happened, I had no clue.
Mm-hmm.
But I really was expecting it to be pretty chill for the first episode anyway. So
that all came crashing down pretty quickly then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. That's Elbreth, which would be Captain Bex.
Yeah, I figured you just wanted a contrast, and so it's like, all right, let's, lead into this whole, like, yeah, we're celebrating, and we have no idea what's going to happen, but, like, yeah, I don't know. I figured it would happen that episode. It was just like, yeah, just trying to, I was keeping it a secret from Elbreth. I was like, I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen.
That's the way to play. So you did think that episode 1 was going to go south. You didn't think it was going to be like a nice episode 1 and then horrid episode 2, but you thought that shoe would actually drop during episode 1.
Yeah. Just, I was like, I don't know if you do it like right off the bat or right at the end, and then, but just, yeah.
Okay. And then I don't have to roll because there's only one person left. So, Ricardo, what was going through Richard's mind during all of this? The also present Mike situation. Yeah, hate to see it.
I want to add too. I wasn't expecting the first episode to actually go south. I honestly thought it was going to be more just us all enjoying the festival and introducing more of our characters to everybody and how they interact and everything. And so I was a little surprised that Mud hit the wall so fast.
Yeah, kind of just went from here to here.
It was just like, quick. Yay, pie, muffins, friends, your brother got kidnapped. Hey, what?
What? And to serve up Richard a little bit, I'll say that Richard is a close friend of mine. We actually live near in the same area, and I've known him for a while, and he's played D&D for a while. So he's one I've actually tossed some things around at him before, since this is my first time DMing. Just like, hey, what would this go about? But at the same time also kept a lot of things. So he was privy to some information of what would go down, but not all of it. So all that being said, like what was going on in that brain of yours while episode 1 transpired?
Well, see, I know you.
Yeah.
And I know
yeah.
that you weren't going to let the episode pass without yanking the rug out from under us.
You're right.
So, in character, I'm like, hey, it's a festival. There's pies. Ayla says these are the best pies. Let's have some pie. But Richard's sitting here going,
yeah.
watching every corner, waiting for the moment.
Yeah.
I knew it had to come. There had to be a big cliffhanger.
Rod's in the pie.
Right. So if that's the case, then for you, once the hooded figure thing got announced, you were probably on your toes at that point.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I sent you my prediction, remember?
Uh-huh.
In the moment.
Yep.
Which I'll keep low key right now.
Sure. I like it.
For the character development stuff, but
yeah.
But yeah, in my mind, I was, as soon as you said in a hooded figure, I thought, here we go.
It's like it's all downhill from here. Let me read this to make sure. Someone from chat has a question for Elberith. Oh gosh, that's just a ridiculous question. But why not?
He asked a bunch of questions if you missed it.
What? Yeah, I've been reading some of them, but if everyone else was in the same sticky situation, explain why the situation is sticky and why would you do what you do?
You know, it's funny because Crumbly said the glue factory, and I was actually be like, I don't know, maybe we were eating peanut butter and it got everywhere, or it's glue or something. I was gonna say because I don't know, because I'm sure that's not what he meant. But I was like, I'm only thinking sticky. I don't know. I can only think of peanut butter. I don't know how else to go with that.
So additional question, kind of around the same thing, and I'll roll the dice again. Episode 1. Did you guys, as players, expect to be thrown into a pure open sandbox that quick? Because even though you were in a building at the festival, I had zero limitations of what you guys could have done. If you wanted to go to the heart of the capital and say, screw the festival, you could have done it. If you wanted to try and leave the building, go for it. Like there were
in a building?
Well, leave the walls of the capital.
The city?
You could have done it. I'm not saying it would have gone well, but
I thought we were outside.
Did anyone else catch that? Like when the girl came to get the adventurer, she's like, "My village. People have been missing from my village," and then we get there and it's like a capital city, like.
That was on that was on purpose, but you guys didn't ask about it, so she didn't say anything about it. But I'm glad you bring that up. That was on purpose. I had in the notes that this character did not want to mention that because of the type of people she was around, she would think that you would automatically decline due to it being potentially snobby. So there was an actual reason to that, believe it or not.
Okay.
I have a lot of notes. I'm not crazy, I promise. Anyways, so
ever since your comment yesterday, I'm like not singing, and it's getting really hard.
I was singing, yeah. So the back to the question, just so like there were no rules. You guys were outside in a festival within a giant capital area. But anything went. Like you guys could have gone pretty much anywhere, and even though you guys kind of did, you could have all split up 6 different ways if you really wanted to. Gosh, that would have been awful. But it could have happened. So just kind of like, did you expect that to happen? Did you even realize that was the case before now, or what was going on there?
I think
that is
somewhat the difficulty in. You wanted to roll for that?
Well, you're already going, so go for it.
Okay. I think some of the difficulty in characters trying to do that is they don't really know, have an idea of their surroundings. We don't have a map. We don't.
Turned into 2-bit.
Yeah, sorry, Elbra turned off her camera, so now there's 2 of me and none of her and none of SJ. But
I'm here, guys.
yeah,
I'm still here.
just keep going with it.
I think that was basically what I wanted to say.
Gotcha. Okay, so that is Richard. Richard.
And repeat the question for me, please.
It was more of just, it's kind of not just a single question, but did you realize episode 1, like the second I kind of was like, here go, that it was pure open sandbox?
Gotcha. Okay.
And
I thought I'd missed another one and moved on from that one.
It was
okay.
it was that, and if so, like, did you expect to be thrown into an open sandbox that early?
I didn't at all. I actually expected the first episode to be pretty railroaded, like path to the point. So yeah, we could have done a lot of really dumb stuff, but thankfully we didn't.
And some dumb stuff was had pretty quickly,
relatively minor, at least.
Yeah. I mean, I was waiting because I was like, this is dangerous, but I want to see what they do. Like, just here, go. And then next thing we know, they separate. Some are eating, and the other one is literally extorting a drunkard to win some money. So you never know what's going to happen.
Just another Tuesday night.
But they're doing a night. Just kidding.
I like this question from chat that we'll switch to, but before Elberth needs to answer the question as well. I think SJ too, because so both of you do. So that's SJ first, and then Elberth second. Same question that Richard answered.
Me?
You are SJ, so yes.
I don't know why I thought you were asking Elberth. Don't mind me. My brain went somewhere. About being in the sandbox.
Yep.
Is that what we're still in? Okay.
Or did you expect to have that much freedom that early, or did you even know it was that open that early?
Well, yeah, I did to an extent, because, I mean, we had talked about it, about things that I wanted to happen or should happen, just to, like, get the story out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, I mean, to an extent, I knew that it was like open, but I didn't push it as to. I mean, I tried to do what I thought my character would do, which was get the good food and leave. So.
Well, to that point, that was the one thing I had on my side, is that everybody in episode 1 is also kind of trying to figure out their own crap. So
yeah,
crazy stuff gets kind of limited a little bit. So I did have that semi going for me, yet again, it still found a way to surprise me with the whole dwarf drinking game that got thrown out pretty quick. So, I mean, that's why I love this game, though. You never really know what's going to happen when you allow 6 to 7 different brains to be like, hey, I would like to do this. And there's next to no rules to a certain extent in terms of the role play part of it. You're like, okay, here we go. Elbreth and Miss Captain Beck, same question.
Yeah, I think because I forgot that, like, I don't know, like, what normally is normal. I'm used to things being sandboxy, and we already did the. Well, it's hard to really remember what's what. But I think it was in the prologue thingy. Like, we already did the railroady thing, so yeah, I figured it was already. Except that, like, we wouldn't really have any ideas of where to go. Like, it wouldn't have crossed my mind to go storm the Capitol or anything. Like,
well, sure.
So I was just like, I was just like, just excited about all the types of food. Eating is fun even when you're doing it fictionally.
Music's back.
Yeah, it's on a loop. I think it just went off for a little bit there. It's back now. Yeah, so That makes sense to me. There was a real good question from chat that I noticed. Let me pull back up. Admiral Thumbs, wonderful name. As to all the players, what are your character's opinion of the gentleman named Strahd so far? That will be an interesting one because they've only met him once and didn't get a whole lot from it. But I'd be interested to see what that answer is. So we'll roll the dice, shall we? Richard, straight out the gate.
Zyle doesn't particularly trust him by any means, but in his mind, he's all right because they're in this unfamiliar situation that they get dropped in. They have no clue what's happening, and he kind of guides them right out of the gate. Hey, something big's coming. I'll distract it. Y'all get out of here, kind of thing. So he's not gonna, put his back to him in a bar fight or anything, but he would, share a mug of ale with the guy right now. Because that's their only interaction they've had, and it was a helpful one.
Right. Because for anyone that was not there, their one interaction with Strahd, they did have a few exchanges, but it was cut pretty short due to something that sounded like literally something breaking the sound barrier occurred, and then Strahd quickly went kind of like in a defensive mode and instructed them to run while he gave them time to escape and pointed them in the direction of the nearest village area. So that was their one interaction. So let's see who goes. Liam.
Okay. What I think of Strahd. He seems a little bit mysterious in that he didn't want to answer my question outright about whether he's a wizard. But otherwise, yeah, he seemed okay.
Okay. So just kind of the same thing as Richard then, like you don't really know what to think about him, so you're on guard, but you're kind of just in the weird middle. You don't really know whether to think he's bad or good.
Yeah. Well, he seemed to be like a okay guy.
Okay. I think that's fair given what you guys have seen so far. That would be Captain Bex, aka Elbrith.
He seems nice. He was helping us.
He seemed nice.
He seemed nice. He was helping us, and yeah.
Yes, that is true. That is what you have so far. SJ, same question.
Who's Strahd?
Don't even remember. Yeah.
Well, I mean, my character wasn't exactly like mentally present for that conversation, so
That's fair.
It's a good answer.
Wait, is that what you're sticking with? Like, if someone even brought up the name, she would have no clue who that even is?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
All right.
So, because I mean, like, she was on the floor. Like, when they met Strahd, she's just, like, on the floor in her own head. She probably knew someone was there. I think she did say something to him, maybe. But if someone's going to be like, oh, yeah, Strahd, or if they meet him again, she's just going to be like, who are you? Because she was just, like, so caught up in what just happened to her family that,
Distraught.
Yeah. Distraught.
All right. I mean, it makes sense to me. I mean, he even pointed out, he's like, this one's not okay.
Yeah. That one's not okay.
Yeah. Pointed that out to the group. Like, yeah, you need to carry that one, like, quickly. Get her out of here. That leads to another good question that I thought, let me make sure I'm not missing any in chat. Well, there's one more, which will probably just be for Ayla, because no one else is really going to know. What's the coolest thing in the capital you would like to visit, and explain why? The coolest thing.
The coolest thing. Let me think. What's the coolest thing in the capital? I mean, Ayla is like really fond of the food there because it's just so vast. Because it is the capital, so they have food from all parts. But she also likes their traditional foods as well.
They have exotic bungee jumping where you go into the den of a lion.
Right.
It's like 50% chance if the rope goes too far, then you don't come back. But that's the danger.
Yeah. The putt there is pretty decent. No.
They probably have some it's probably like croquet or something similar, I would imagine.
Let's see. I'd have to. I mean, that's where she'd probably, if she was to go back, she'd probably just go to the monastery. Because that's where she trained.
Right.
So, and that's where when she came to the capital, that's where she spent most of her time anyway. So, that and food.
It's a good answer. So the previous question leads into straight into another one that I was going to ask anyways, but did you guys expect to run into Strahd that quick?
No.
And under a circumstance like that? And then, so that it's two-part question. You'll have that, and then I guess what was going on in your mind, because like this will be our first question where we kind of have to separate player and character, because your characters have no freaking clue who that is. As players, the guy's name's on the module, so like that means something. So you're having to have like this distinction between two and think like, so what is your character thinking versus what are your as players are thinking? I know that's kind of a loaded question, but this dice likes you. Okay, Richard, back in the leadoff slot.
Yeah, I expected, if not episode 1, right at the out of the gate of episode 2, just because, as written, he's a very present villain, and that's what makes him such a good, memorable villain. Is he's there, like the cat playing with the mouse he caught in the yard. It's
right,
and that's what he's all about, and that's why he's such a legend in the Forgotten Realms lore and everything.
Right, it's not one of those villains you just see at the end of the campaign.
Right. He's not going to watch you from his high tower. He's going to get in your face and taunt you and let you know that you're just a mouse in his sandbox.
It's a good answer.
But like I said, if not in episode 1, I fully expected to see him right out of the gate in episode 2.
Okay. Did you? I guess the player character distinction, given the way it happened, what exactly was going on in your mind?
I was me as me or as my character, you mean?
Both.
But yeah, well, it's essentially like I told you with Zyle. He's like, I don't know if I can trust this guy, but I can trust this place even less, so I'm going to take his advice. Me, I'm thinking, this is a twist, because normally he gets in your face and just shows you like how weak you are. Right? That's kind of his thing as written, and he's just a complete irredeemable jerk right out of the gate in the module. Yeah. So, see a little flair on that. I like it.
Yeah, which that is one of the things that I had told Richard beforehand, is that the one thing that I didn't particularly care for at the book was how unrelatable Strahd was if you go straight from the module, because he's like, good gosh, he's just straight evil incarnate, zero redeemable factors, nothing going for him whatsoever. He's just kind of just a jerk. Like he very much has the whole power trip going on, to where, like Richard said, if you went by the book straight, the second you guys got there, he's like, oh hi, God, peon, is basically what he would do, like immediately, because he's just that type of character. He may do it in like a flashy type of way, but that's pretty much what would go on in his brain, like immediately. SJ, same question.
Why would they put his name on the book? Like they could have like just called it "Welcome to Barovia," but instead they're like "Curse of Strahd." By the way, here he is. Yeah, I wasn't expecting to meet him that quick. I didn't know anything about this story other than that it was dark. Mm-hmm. And then obviously from the title, it's like, oh, it's Curse of Strahd, so Strahd is the bad guy. I think I would have, in a sense, enjoyed it better if I didn't know he was the bad guy. Because then it's like that twist at the end where it's like, by the way, that guy that you met at the very beginning, he's your worst nightmare. Yeah, that's my thoughts.
It's also presuming that he is the big bad guy of this campaign.
Curse of Strahd?
Point of note on that subject, Floorlock there in chat pulled that very same thing on a 2-year-long campaign on me. The guy you met at the very beginning that helps you out. Oh, surprise! He's the evil nightmare all along. He dropped hints the whole way, and we just
completely.
Him.
Yep.
That's awesome.
That's the hardest thing about being a player is like, because there's some things that you are like locked on, and you're not gonna let it slide by you. But because of doing that, there's this other thing that is just like Freddy Krueger that happens to be wearing an Easter Bunny hoodie, but it's not even quite hiding his face, so it's just kind of like, hi, I am a bunny and not a murderer. And he was like, yep, looks good. It's good. I'm watching you, Crow. But you're just watching this thing in the distance. It has nothing to do with anything. It just happens all the time.
That's exactly what I went down, basically.
Yep.
It's the crow with the coin, isn't it? The crow with the coin.
The bat. Yeah.
That's it.
The bat that keeps attacking Nadar. He's the actual big bad of the...
It's actually just...
He's the one who's actually pulling the strings around here.
That is a fun taunt that I can give you as a DM, because like you guys don't technically know Strahd is the big bad of the campaign.
Right.
By all accounts, he probably should be, but you don't know for sure. And you won't know till you know.
As players.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
You never know. Could be. We got a few questions going on in chat, so I think that was a good enough elaborated answer there. So, I like that question. Good one, Admiral Thumbs. Do your characters have any theories and or suspicions about whatever the sonic boom was? I'll let whoever would like to go first go on that one.
You left the bass too high on your last album?
Sure. Sure. That tracks. We're connected universes. We're just gonna roll with it.
I mean, I'm fine with that. I love a good bass line.
No.
It's just a chain of 808s put together.
Yep. Any actual theories, though? I would be interested to hear this one.
I've got one idea, but
leaving it to yourself.
Not much of a theory. It's not much of a theory.
Spell it out.
The boom was caused by some god or something.
Yeah. And I will tell you, for Admiral Thumbs or the players, I will not tell you whether you're right or wrong for any of your answers on this. Anyone else have any theories on what the sonic boom might have been that caught Strahd's attention? Go ahead, Elbereth.
To the first question, Elbereth thinks that like maybe it has something to do with the planar travel that we just did. Like, you know, like the planes, like now we're in this other place, and so like that's like related somehow. But then to Crumble's question, what the players are theory, I think someone put a bag of holding in another bag of holding somewhere.
Okay. Interesting. So neither player nor character in your case saw it being connected to Strahd suddenly being on the defensive and telling you guys to run?
Seems like Well, for Elvis, just thinking like maybe this happens, or like he's seen this kind of thing before, and it's just like, oh no, what happens when? Like if we disappeared there, what else disappeared? Like did a capital disappear in the middle of another capital? Like
I got you.
You know,
I got you. I'm tracking now. Okay.
Or maybe a Tarrasque is on the way. Yeah, like he's just like used to this.
I don't think a Tarrasque would be able to make that sound, but that was just my assumption.
That would have been an interesting, that would have been a mean thing to do. It's like, oh yeah, here, like episode 1, here's a Tarrasque, have it, it's fine.
Well, Tarrasques are actually very slow.
Yeah, but for level 1, anyways, SJ, any theories?
That's me.
Yeah, any theories on what it was?
Albert's cat falling off the counter. No, I actually forgot about it.
Because I guess this would also just be more of a SJ question, not an Ayla question, given that the character is kind of inconsolable at that moment.
Ayla didn't notice it happened. All of a sudden, Zael threw her over his shoulder, and they ran. Next thing she knows, there's children, so then she just threw all her focus on the children to distract her. But, the sonic boom. What do I think it is?
Yeah. The question was just, do you have any theories?
I think it has to... I think it has to do with a monster.
Okay.
That Strahd knows about, and it's like saving it for last. It's like, I want to put you through hell and then give you Beelzebub. So
Beelzebub. All right. Yeah, we'll make that name come back to haunt you at all. Ricardo, any interesting theories on what the... And it was... I say sonic boom. That was just like the best description I could give of what the sound was like. It wasn't necessarily intended to be like the sound barrier literally breaking. It's just that's what the sound was.
Yeah, so Zael has no clue. You know, he's a military man. He fights men with swords and spears, and nothing like that's ever happened. So he doesn't know.
Right.
Yeah.
He just didn't like it, and he wanted to get out of there. I think it's something along the lines of maybe something that loud, a high-level spell like Meteor Swarm, you know, hearing the crash from that, or a large monster, Tarrasque-esque, stomping through the forest or whatever. And I find that particularly disconcerting because Strahd's like, yeah, y'all go on, I'm going to go 1v1 this. That's a little troubling to me.
Yeah.
Because I know I have no doubt you have buffed him immensely.
I will decline to answer that. No comment on that one. Yeah, that's a good question, though. I like that. Good question.
If it was Meteor Swarm, then Zael should know about it, because I casted Meteor Swarm in episode 1.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I guess in fairness, like, it was distant enough that, like, it's just impossible to, like, pick what it was.
Hearing it and not seeing it would be one thing, and usually he's on the good end of it when Mark cast it. So.
Yeah, on the fortunate side of the meteor cast.
All right,
that's fair. I'd actually wondered if, because like none of the characters had really like stopped to like ask each other once they got in the house, like, hey, what the heck was that, or anything. So I was kind of curious where the characters went with that. So that was interesting.
We were mildly distracted by the evil house.
just mildly distracted from the house, literally from hell. It seems that just is one thing after the other. That's fair. Okay, so we're gonna transition to throwing in some of the questions to our players and seeing if they have some. Chat, if you have questions, feel free to keep throwing them out there. I'm gonna roll our lovely dice to see who we got, and it is SJ. SJ, do you have any questions for a character or for a player or for the DM or anything? Have at it. The floor is yours. The suspense. Wow.
Through my head, if you want to know, through my head, it's like you could give this answer, but this is a better answer.
It's like, well, at this point, like I've either done.
Because at first I was like, "But boy," and then
I have either done so well as a DM that she has no questions, or I've done so horrible. She's just like, no,
like,
no
we're playing
questions.
a game. What? We're in Curse of Strahd?
No, but do you actually?
I play a character.
But do you actually?
I mean, we talked about it for so long beforehand, and even into the game, discussing stuff. And I don't feel like I have questions for the other players because I want to learn as we go. I don't want it to be like.
Well, for fairness, they don't have to answer.
Right. Yeah, I know.
It's not like whatever you ask, you have to. Yeah, I'm gonna give you an like. No, like I mean, you ask away. Well, funny, Calico. She was actually quiet. She was quiet earlier, but now she's yelling. So it's just kind of just.
I'm sorry.
Back and forth.
It passed 9:30. I woke up. Let me come back to me. I know you told us earlier to think of questions, but I have children and thinking is hard when they're yelling and loud and telling me that they're gonna do it anyway.
That's fine. Elbreth, Captain Bix, what you got?
I think I was gonna steal someone else's questions. Hold on, let me see.
It's fine.
Okay.
I'm gonna steal a question that Crumbles asked in dungeon earlier, and what is everyone's real life class? Players.
Okay. Oh gosh.
And DM.
Real life class.
Mm-hmm. And or race.
If anyone else wants to go first, have at it, because I'm having a hard time giving an answer for that.
Okay.
I might need to use a lifeline and have to ask Richard to answer this for me.
I think... in terms of... I think I'd be a wood elf, somewhat into book smarts because I've found a bit about, learned a bit about space and science, and but then I'd say I'm pretty. I'd say I'm pretty physically fit, so I'd say constitution-wise, pretty good for that.
So that's race and stuff. What class?
I don't think I'm one of the wisest of players, so
curious what this answer will be.
I don't know. I'd
Were you gonna
probably
drunk dwarf barbarian?
No. I think I'd probably have to go for a I don't know yet. I'd come back to it.
I'm in the same problem. I have no idea. It's like what class would be a jack of all trades, master of none?
I'm gonna answer for you, Matt.
Okay.
I got you on lock here.
Here we go.
But that's mine too. Jack of all trades, master of none.
I'm scared to see what Richard was going to say, but let's...
You, sir, are a bard paladin multiclass. Because you will smack people over the head with your righteous riffs.
Oh, no. Ha. Ha. Well played. It's like, I hate the idea I hate the idea so much of being a bard, but like, either me or Richard would have to include that. Like, we have to, because we have such a musical background, and like, Ayla's kind of in the same category. I at least like try to give like, well, I'm trying to be nice, because like, at least yours is violin, so that's at least considered like a somewhat nicer type of
classy bard.
A classier thought, whereas like we're both from guitar, so that could be like hardcore bard, just right out the gate.
Yeah.
Aside from being constantly horny, like we don't, thank goodness, don't have that dreaded effect. Yeah, I mean that's fair. I can't come up with anything better than that, so I just have to accept it at this point. Which, I mean, honestly, if that's the case, you're probably the exact same. I don't think you can really argue anything else.
I'd say I'm not charismatic. That's definitely my dump stat.
The dump stat. Elberth, do you have an answer for what class you would be?
Even though it's probably my least favorite to. Well, actually, I haven't tried play, but whenever I look at it, I never want to play Ranger. But I feel like Ranger. One time we were doing like a in a dungeon, we were doing like a build yourself in real life, but more for like your exercise goals things. So maybe if I'm looking at it holistically, it'd be different. But like I was picking out for that one, Fae Wanderer Ranger, just because I really like walking and being out in nature a lot, and my camera keeps moving and it's freaking me out.
It's learning. Kill it quick.
Right? And then class, like, I don't know, I just want to say sea elf just because I wish that I could like be a sea creature, even though like I'm scared of the ocean. I'm not very good at swimming or anything, but I just wish that I was naturally a sea creature, like, you know, blue skin and green hair.
Okay. Shay, what class would you be? You're just gonna say bard and something else?
Well, I mean, like, that was my first thought. Come on. I mean, my last Azalea was the one who was more based off of me anyways. So it's like if you guys go back to did Emrys ever actually load those on YouTube? In our last campaign, my character was like what do you call them?
You're a gnome.
The big-headed photos of people. Caricature? It's a caricature. She was a caricature of me, basically. So, like, me times 10. So I'd say bard. I mean, you guys know how much I'll just, like, break out into song. The annoyance of me trying not to break out into song this entire session is just, like...
Yeah, like
I mean, you said I'm not crazy, and I went, dang it.
Yeah, but you are definitely the only one of the group that could make a case for just being a pure bard at times, because you just constantly break out into song. So you may not even have you may not even have to multi-class. You're just a bard.
I'm a bard.
True and true.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna do what you said. You know, it's like 2-bit. What would you say after knowing me for this long?
Bard. I don't even stop to think. I was like, initially I was gonna try and give it like, that's violin. It might be more clat. No, she sings all the time. Bard. Bard.
Thank you.
All day. That's a good question. I like that one. Let's see. Let's have another, shall we? That is Ricardo. Ricardo, do you have a question for a character or a player or the DM about the narrative?
A question for you.
Okay.
So, when you were crafting all this and putting everything together, and just a second, pulling a few things up.
This is concerning.
That I thought I had already. All right, so when you're crafting everything, right, and you're like, "Yep, how can I inflict maximum emotional damage on my players?" Like, did you know I would like Idris so much right out of the gate, right before you stomped on my heart?
But you may or may not believe this, but I did not even stop to consider it. In that regard, Idris was
actually very targeted in the moment.
Did it? Okay, that is actually just I don't know if we can call it not a happy coincidence, but I guess just a coincidence. No, I did not create the character in a targeted sense. I did study how everyone's certain reactions were to it and kind of like probed a little bit of what everybody's thoughts were and make some choices after the fact based on that. So his initial design was not specifically to pull one person's heartstrings. It was kind of to pull everybody's, because it was just supposed to be like almost like the best of you, of like a guy that virtually had no flaw. Basically, he just wanted to help everybody, and that was about it. So when someone like that, it falls on the sword for everybody, it's just kind of like why did this happen? So that, I don't know if that's a satisfying answer, but that.
And I know you couldn't have known that I really like NPC type characters like that, especially when I'm kind of the character I'm playing is like the gruff, flawed counterpart essentially to what he is.
Sure.
And Zyle would have viewed him as what he could aspire to be.
Mm-hmm.
Had he made better choices, or he could still aspire to be that. And I think that's probably going to be a driving force for him going forward, having lost Idris. So narratively, it was good, but Richard was very sad. I was looking forward to a campaign of you talking like a robot. And
we got his like little ball thing. So.
Yeah, that's true.
What do we call you out on? I don't remember.
You said I think it was session 0 when I asked you something, and
you
said, "You jerk! You're just doing this to hear me talk like a robot, aren't you?"
Yeah. Because I was gonna let something go, and then Rich was like, "No, let's role play it." I was like, "I'm gonna have to talk like a robot for a long amount of time." So that's what ended up happening. That whole character was a tough type of decision on how to make, because on one hand, you want something to be impactful, but the reality about that is it takes time for things to be like really impactful. And there's only so much you can do to make it hit hard. But having a character like that too long, I thought was a bad thing, because there's already 6 players. So they didn't need an extra 7th constantly having to share, what limited screen time we have each episode to go around. So to me, it seemed like a bad idea to have them around too long. So I was like, well, I want it to be impactful, but I don't want to take up their time as players to explore their own characters and have their own time. So it kind of like you may not believe this, but honestly, up until about an hour in to episode 1, I still did not know if I was going to do the Idris moment that episode or episode 2. It was actually a kind of taking it as we go, seeing what decisions you guys made, how the things progressed, and ultimately, your guys' just complete avoidance of even like communicating to the guy in the hood and just almost taunting him to a certain extent is what kind of just pushed that forward. Because like, yeah, okay, you're taunting a guy who is clearly not good, like clearly not. So that was a bad idea. So that just like backfired immediately. But luckily the Idris contingency was there, so that kind of help that go along.
What other response could we have made?
Less of like, and I don't even mean like answering is question of like, yeah, we'll take option A or option B. Of like even trying to stall him would have been an option that would have been less aggressive on his part. Because what happened is he presented two things, and you guys were like, no, neither of those. Give us another one. He's like, no, give me another one. And he's like, okay, I don't think you guys understand the predicament you're in. No, give me another one. He's like, okay, well, I kill your brother. That's basically, at least like in that character's mind, that's kind of because like he's not exactly like a nice guy. It's not exactly have a thick strand of patience. It was kind of very thin, so it didn't take much to set it off. Got a couple questions in chat we can roll to. Good question, Richard. I like the question. Admiral Thumbs again. For the DM, what are your favorite ways to reward players for extra special role playing? And what are some ways you like to see players go above and beyond? Good gosh, what
All
a
right,
loaded...
everybody, take notes.
Good gosh, what a loaded question. Man, we're only 5 episodes in, and this is my first ever thing to DM, so that's actually tough to answer. I would love to come up with some form of reward for extra special role playing. I honestly, I'm just gonna have to say I don't know. I don't have an answer for that one. That's a great idea though, and I think it's definitely deserved. Usually, I try very honestly and openly to like tell everybody good job or like yeah that was awesome or be vocal with each other on moments like that, because those are great whenever we have role-playing moments back and forth, or even like pulling Richard's heartstrings again whenever he had the role-play moment where he got to talk to Idris one-on-one back and forth and kind of like a little dream state thing. I thought that was a really good moment. And some of the players at the end of that episode said they even like were feeling slightly emotional on that one, which was really interesting to me because I had not even thought of that in the time. I was like, okay. Because I actually thought that in that episode that the one with Millard and his brother would have been a little more that way just because of it was more not a pleasant thing. So you have brothers like kind of not getting along very well, which would have been more of like a unfortunate turmoil type of thing. But instead it ended up being the Zio and Idris reunion.
You're not my brother.
Yeah, that's kind of what it ended up being. And then
the whole thing was awesome, though. He did a killer job with that, I thought.
The Millard and his brother bit?
Yeah, the Millard and his brother bit, yeah.
Yes. I thought Jay did a great job in that one. And then the second part...
Did you know he took acting lessons? Just saying. No. As a kid?
No, I did not. Well, it paid off. He did a good job on that one. And then what are some ways you like to see players go above and beyond? I'll give 2 answers for that. Role-playing, I just love when they lift restraints and just do it. Like, I don't care if the acting is on, like, ridiculous high level or anything. Just don't hold back. Like, don't think about looking weird or saying something stupid or sounding like just do it and be in the moment and completely like have this amazing moment when you're riffing off of someone and neither of you are holding back and you're both just letting your characters be your characters. That's an awesome thing to me. That's like the best part of D&D, of being able to unlock this creative side without having to worry about any sort of repercussions or someone making fun of you or like anything. Just get in there, be a dork, and just have a good time. Like, we're all going to support it. We're all going to love it. We're going to pat your back and be like, dude, that was freaking awesome. Please do it again. And that's my favorite part of D&D is stuff like that. And then the second part, when people go above and beyond in combat, when a player knows that their turn is coming and they are really prepared going into it, so they don't have to stop and look through everything. There's nothing wrong with that because we all do it, and it all will happen. But just it's really good to see when a player. That's not an insult. It's just like he's asking what's good to see when a person is that prepped and they're just in the zone and they're waiting for their moment. That's a good thing to see because not only are they ready, but it just lets me know that they're paying attention. They know when their turn is. They've already been thinking about stuff. They're engaged. They're thinking ahead. That's the type of things I like. Another question
reminds
from
me
chat.
of my favorite moment in our last campaign when Azalea's just like, boom.
Good job. How long have Ayla and Zyle known each other before this adventure? They seem to have a strong bond. Still sad about how she had to watch him collapse not so long ago.
Yep, that was
true.
sad.
I didn't even... Has Florlock been watching this whole time? Is this like this first time just showing up in chat? Because like that's from like previous episodes.
I know we talked about how long they've known each other because we were trying to
We
figure
assigned
out.
a number to it, right?
We did. What was it? Because it was a while. They knew each other first before they joined the rest of the group. And then, how long did we say the group was together for, Tibbet?
I don't know if we pinpointed it to an exact, but it was within a year frame, roughly.
Okay, so probably about 5 years, because I think that Azalea hadn't been back to the city for about 7 years. So I think we had said about 5 years they had been together before they joined up with the group then. And then the group was together about a year to 2 years.
And that leads to an interesting point of just the way that I DM for, I guess everybody can know, for like moving forward and anyone in chat. So that was not a planned thing to make Zyle collapse in front of Ayla. Like I wasn't just trying to torture Ayla or Zyle or anybody, but Richard had something come up with his schedule where he was not able to make it that week. And I don't like your player's unconscious now. Like I don't like just write it off as nothing. I want everything to have purpose and narrative. So even if it's something as simple as in the real world, Richard just couldn't be there. It's like, well, I'm going to make it matter in the story somehow. And so that's why that happened the way it did, instead of Zyle just not being there that episode. Like something actually happened that will contain serious narrative later.
Yeah. But I mean, like, it makes sense that it would happen in front of Ayla because, like, all of a sudden they're in this basement and everything. So it's most likely that she was going to be with him for at least a while until she felt comfortable in that area. Because she does, like, really lean on him as an older brother figure. Just because of how, like, they kind of got introduced to each other.
Sure.
And he's, in a sense, protective of her at the same time. Because, again, because of how they met. So.
Right. Which makes sense.
I want cookies.
Urlock in chat asks for each player. So I'll roll a dice so we don't have to think about it. But what is your current favorite character ability and why? Luckily, there's not a ton of it. So since they're only level 2, so they don't have like a huge sheet to go through, but we'll do that. So let me roll this right here. Captain Bix, do you have a favorite at the moment?
I have one that I'm really excited about that I haven't had a chance to use yet, but my current favorite would actually probably be the resistance to necrotic damage. Because of that,
yes,
it would have been really bad without that resistance. So, yeah.
Yes, that actually paid off very well in that fight. So that's a good point. That's actually, that probably is your best ability right now, given the place you guys are in too. Liam, favorite character ability.
My favorite character ability for Mark, I think I'd have to go with just make sure that I get all the abilities. Well, I could go with telekinetic shove, which is pretty useful, but attacking abilities, I'd have to go with magic missiles.
That's a good one.
But utility, I really like sleep, actually, a little bit more than magic missiles.
Which could pay off if used correctly.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I can't use that quite yet. I need to prepare it.
Right. Hashtag wizards. Ricardo, favorite ability for Xyle at the moment?
Right now, I'd say Guiding Bolt, because it's a 4d6 radiant first level spell, and it gives advantage to the next person. It's just got a lot of utility baked in at a really low cost and 120-foot range, so you can snipe across the map with it. It's solid damage, and it's utility for the next person in line. Level 6 is going to be probably my favorite of the whole class, is where you can use a reaction to just cancel a critical hit.
Yeah,
and I just think
that's some OP garbage right there.
With the Glaive Cleric being its whole shtick being like keeping undead things dead and keeping your friends alive when when they're not supposed to die, and it's called Sentinel at Death's Door. It's just a super cool ability, I think, and it's
Very
a little
much.
busted, yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit, but that's very much so. SJ, favorite ability of Ayla's right now?
I guess. I mean, I'm excited that she can do 2-weapon fighting. I haven't used it yet. I don't think. No, I've just done like flurry of blows.
Yeah, you've just scraped the tip of the iceberg with monks of where that's going to go.
I'm excited to fight with her. Honestly,
I can't imagine why.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. But yeah, I think I'm most excited for the 2-weapon fighting.
Yep, and then hitting one enemy like 10 times in a turn, basically.
Yeah,
that's where you end up going. Mysterious stranger in chat, along with a lot of shh. Nice added effect there. Does anyone have a typical favorite class to play? Mine, of the stuff that I've looked into, in any like one shots, or like I've only done 2 full campaigns. One being as a player, and then now working one as a DM. But I've done quite a few like side tangent one shots now. So it's hard to answer truthfully in like a campaign. But as the lovely Richard above me suggested, the Paladin Warlock combo is nasty when you get to some high level stuffs. That's a pretty stout hybrid to go with. I don't know if you were considering multi-class, but if you were, it's pretty brutal when you start stacking stuff. Would be my answer. Anyone else want to give that one?
Favorite class?
Warlock. When I was building another Warlock, I didn't before I was very far in it. I just titled yet another Warlock. Because I think I only haven't tried Fiend, and I don't really plan to. I really want to try Deep, but I've tried a few different. I really like Warlocks. I just love Eldritch Blast.
Sure, who doesn't love Eldritch Blast?
I sold my soul for a D10 cantrip.
Yeah.
Yep. I love selling my soul for cantrips. So I have I don't know. I have built 5, maybe. out of like the 30 characters that I've built. But
Makes sense. Liam or Richard, favorite class?
Favorite class, I'd have to go with Wizard.
So you're playing your favorite class. So
yeah,
you get to see some of that this campaign if you stick around for next week. Ricardo.
I guess cleric. This is my second long game cleric, but
So
I will say, and we did a full like level 6 to 20 campaign, and I did Eldritch Knight 3 and then 17 cleric for the action surge and like access to shield and booming blade and stuff like that. And I really, really liked him, but we did a post-campaign kind of thing where he had lost his cleric powers. He couldn't commune with his deity anymore. And I switched him to a full artificer, an armorer artificer. Straight 20 levels of that. And that was probably my favorite thing I've ever played.
Nice.
I say that only getting like a couple of sessions essentially of that. And I'd had the whole campaign to work with the cleric and get the feel for it. And I obviously really like it. I'm doing it again. Just I was Forge Domain as opposed to Grave here. But that Artificer was pretty darn cool. And I really want to play one of those again in a full context.
Mm-hmm. And
I never thought I would like that. I tend to not go towards the intelligence-based characters. Maybe because I'm dumb. But I didn't think I would enjoy it nearly as much as I did.
Gotcha. And then, SJ, did you answer that one?
Nope.
Okay. What's your favorite class?
I mean, I've only played 2 so far. I've played Bard, and I've now playing a Monk. So far, I like both.
You've watched some D&D stuff, though, so you might just like some other classes.
Not a lot. Not really. I wouldn't mind, like, so far I put a lot more effort into developing my Monk and, learning about that class than I did the Bard. With the Bard, it was just like, yes. So...
I can sing.
I think it would be... I can sing!
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind doing the Bard again with better intent. Because through the first half of the last one, I totally forgot about, like, Bardic Inspiration and all of the other things that go with being a Bard. I just played it, as I thought I, in a sense would interact and just totally forgot about, like, the extra. This time I feel like I know a lot more about the character's class. So... But so far, I'm really liking Monk. I think I do enjoy it better than the Bard, but that's just because I understand it more than I did when I played the Bard.
It's also hard pressed to not like a Monk, especially when you start leveling up and you can basically just not get hit by anything virtually ever. It's kind of ridiculous. Really good question from chat from Handoff the Red.
I haven't gotten to ask any question yet.
I'm coming to you. I got you. But,
okay.
Yeah, I haven't forgotten about you. I just... The biggest thing with this one, I know some of these people have never been here before, so I didn't want them to jump off if their question isn't getting answered quick enough. But this was a good question. And then, Admiral Thumbs, I see yours, but we're going to answer Hand Off the Reds and then give Liam his question so he gets some, and then we'll come back to you. So, Hand Off the Red asks... Question for the DM and/or players: do you find yourself feeling inhibited by the fact that you are streaming? Do you find yourself second-guessing decisions or role-playing choices, or do you feel the audience just puts you more on your game? Now, if anyone wants to go first, I will let them, but I inherently know the answer to this question for me. Okay.
Never not played it on stream.
Yeah.
I've done a couple, short one-shots, both on stream.
Mm-hmm.
Both of the campaigns I've done, this one included, on stream. So I don't know anything other than doing it on stream. But I think probably if it wasn't on stream and it was in person, it would be a whole different feel. Especially like now that like game stores are like really like making rooms for D&D players so they can like really get into it and all that kind of stuff. Like that would be so fun to do. Have a different feel to it. But I don't mind it being on stream. I don't mind other people watching it, and to an extent it allows me to be silly because it's like I want to give you guys entertainment. So it's like, yeah, go ahead and be silly. So there can be like something memorable about that, whatever. Not that like my character right now is not like the silly type as my character was in the last one. Just breaking into people's houses to make muffins and all. So
that did happen.
That happened.
Liam, same question.
So I've played some play-by-posts. Started some play-by-posts. So I guess for playing by play-by-posts compared to playing in person or through Discord is definitely different in that you get more time to think up your responses.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got very little experience in playing without spectators, I guess. But I haven't been playing for the chat. I haven't paid much attention to the chat while I play, so I don't think it's been affecting me too much.
Okay. Bex, same question.
I feel like a lot of those things about being like second guessing and stuff like that happens in all my live games, you know, because it's just like I also play a lot of play-by-post, and with those it's just like, okay, I look at that and I'm like, let me come back to it like later when I think about it, and like type it, like delete what I put, retype it. When I play live, it's like it does this. So even if I'm like with my friends, like I'm just like I'm thinking it like the rest of the night when I go home, and I'm like, oh, I said that, I did this, I should have done. So that's gonna happen in a live game no matter what. And so I feel like the only thing with the streaming, I'm just very like aware of what my face is doing. I like I get the prologue and I'm like, why am I frowning the whole time? It's just
if you're not used to doing it, it's something that really throws you.
Yeah, but I don't know. I started playing like only like over Zoom. Was it Google Hangouts? But yeah, over video. So like that's most, and then all the past year was over video. So, but yeah, it's kind of like all the second guessing that happens in any live game.
Sure.
But I like the interaction though. It's usually don't. It's only occasionally happen in live games. Like maybe like a roommate comes by if like I'm at someone's house, right? And a roommate comes by. But mostly there's no like external interaction, so it's kind of
right.
Fun thing.
I will give everybody a big pat on the back as far like, and granted, like some of you other guys have more tenure than I do with D&D, but from the things that I've watched of non-professional acting people or whatever, forget like your big people like Critical Role and everything like that, but just for like people just getting together and playing D&D, this group had the probably fastest, least awkward connection point of role-playing back and forth to each other than most. Usually the first couple are rough and really trying to figure out what the heck everybody's going to do. And it just is what it is. And everybody's usually like just accepts it because it's just part of it. But so far, I didn't feel like it was really that way in this one. I mean, it's not to say that you guys are, because you guys are certainly more confident now than you would have been maybe in episode 1, because that's just part of it. But there was not like a crippling awkwardness, not like overthinking of what the frick am I going to say to the point to where you just don't say anything. And you just have two characters staring at each other because everybody's like, yes. And it's like, I was going to say a sentence, but all I got is yes. There was none of that. There was good back and forth for the most part. And anywhere there wasn't, someone else seemed to kind of step in to where it felt fairly natural. So I wanted to give everybody a big high five and pat on the back for that one because you guys did a great job. Richard, the same question about the feeling inhibited by streaming and if you find yourself guessing decisions and stuff like that.
The only thing that I find inhibiting about it is it's hard to have like the fast back and forth bouncing off of each other just because the latency and talking over somebody and two people start talking at the same time and you wait and then you have the weird pauses, but that's just nature of the beast. It's no one's fault. Mm-hmm. That's the only way I feel inhibited by it. If Hand Off the Red is who I think they are, they know that I like that constantly firing off of each other, multiple people talking at once at a real table kind of situation.
Right.
And you can't really have that in this. That's the only real hold up, I think.
That is very,
as far
very
as the
true.
audience, I don't think about that. I like I do at a table. This is the information I have. Make a decision, go with it, kind of thing. And sometimes I do think, well, maybe I could have done that better. But I like to just in the moment. It is who I thought it is. In the moment, I just like to go, and
sure
try not to overthink it and get that role play crippling. But I don't worry about that part. The way I play with y'all is the way I would play at a real table.
Which is great, and it's very true because that is for anyone that's never done it, that is the hardest part about playing D&D online is, like Richard said, you cannot do the things you do at a table, which is multiple people having a conversation at the same time. Like it doesn't work. So that is one, if you ever get the chance to play in real life, that is one completely different experience. That is great. It's wonderful. It adds a whole nother element to things going on because you can have little side beats with someone. You can have like an inside conversation like you would if you were actually sitting around a campfire and just talking to one person while other people are having a conversation.
We kind of are able to do that in Discord. I've messaged Richard a couple times. I've messaged you a couple times during.
You can do it. You just have to do it in a different outlet. You have to do it via text instead of via actual vocal chat. That is very true because there are several people will message me during the campaign and like make jokes or say like I'm thinking this or just different things, which I think is great because it does semi try to make up for that type of thing that doesn't exist in the virtual side of things. As to my answer to that question, I'm not inhibited by streaming in the fact that I am like second guessing what I'm going to do or what I'm going to say to anybody or anything like that. It just doesn't bother me. Combination of probably being a performer and being a musician for so long, like being in front of people and doing stuff I'm used to that. So that doesn't even cross my mind. And I've been actually streaming games for a while now. So aside from D&D being a thing, it does inhibit me in the fact that I'm hosting the stream. So I have a lot of just like technical things to think about and try and make sure things are working properly before, whether it be like the cameras lining up or everybody's mics working. Is the music working? Is Roll20 working? Do I have the D&D sheets pulled up in case I need to reference anything? Do I have any like notes for some sort of bullet points that I wanted to make sure to have ready? Do I like just all sorts of things like that I'm trying to, I feel like each episode I get a little better because this is my first one to ever DM. So it was a lot in episode 1 and 2. It definitely had the feeling of an overwhelming type of nature because it's like, this is a lot to process because I'm having to literally DM the world that these people are in. So I was like, it's my responsibility to answer anything they ask or want to go or talk to or any of the above. And at the same time, it's my responsibility to run the stream and make sure all the technicalities are running. So it was a lot at first, but it feels a lot more tame at this point. hopefully it will continue to get better in that regard. I do not find myself second-guessing decisions or role-playing choices or anything like that. I tend to just freaking go for it and hope for the best. The only... I will try to attempt to semi-match whoever I'm talking to so that it just feels more natural. Because if I'm talking to someone and they're either just, maybe like we're like having a yelling match or something, like in a heated sequence, but they're not really yelling, then I'm going to try to match whatever yelling they're doing. So it doesn't seem like this unbalanced of, well, this guy's really angry. And then this guy's like half angry, not sure what's going on. If the scene is supposed to just be them going at it, then it makes sense to just match whatever they do. So I don't know if inhibit is the right word, but I would try to meet in the middle to do whatever is best for the moment. Because for my role-playing choices or DM decisions in general, I always do the rule of whatever is best for the campaign and for the narrative. Like, period. Like, whatever is going to fit and make the best entertaining story, both for the players and for anyone watching. Because that's kind of the catch-22 of being a stream, is that we're not only doing this for fun to enjoy with each other, but we're also entertaining anyone that is watching. So we kind of have a couple of things to think about at the same time. So we want it to not only be entertaining for the players, but sometimes be entertaining for chat and anyone that's watching, so that you guys actually show up. Because if it wasn't, then why would you be here? So that was a really good question. Liam, we're going to go to a question that you would have for a player or a character or DM or whatever you would like to ask.
All right. I got one question here for Ayla, but I sort of have a subsequent question. At the start of episode 2, Ayla was in shock. Have we seen you in shock before?
By we, I assume you mean the party.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
But you gotta, you kind of gotta remember, for those of you who weren't there, Ayla basically just saw her entire family, her entire, the citizens of the city she lives in just burst into flame.
Cool.
So that was a lot to absorb, for one. So you guys seen her freak out before about different things, but never to this amount of shock, no.
I don't think it was clear that you... Well, maybe it was. I guess in my mind it didn't... I didn't think of it as being your hometown.
Yeah, I think it was said that that's where Ayla was from.
It was kind of like
also
haphazardly. Yeah.
Yeah, and then also we went because her brother was kidnapped, right? And then the last thing that what's his name said was he sent my brother back into the city. So it's she knows that her brother's in the city. And then all of a sudden, the city's on fire, and it's everyone's dead. And so, in episode 1, we actually met one of Ayla's friends, so we knew she had connections there. Her friend, her mentor, she had asked about her family and everything. So we did know that her family was in that city.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'll stick with that.
Okay.
That's a good question. Because that's one of the hardest things about covering 6 players in one campaign too. You try to be... I try to be at least as transparent about certain things as I can, but sometimes you're just having to move so fast that sometimes it's just not as clear as it should be. So we at least attempt to, but questions like that are good to ask because to me that's a good thing. So the characters may not know that, so Mark's character might still be confused on that, but at least Liam can know that, okay, well, SJ meant to do this. And then he can use that data to do whatever with what Mark does.
So I would say like Zyle would take more note of it than anyone else, again, because they have had a longer relationship.
That reminds me, I will answer this for you two. This was the funniest question I've been asked.
More than the other ones would.
This was the funniest question I've been asked about this entire campaign.
Okay.
No, Zyle and Ayla are not a couple. No, that is not what the intention was.
Where is that? I didn't even see that come up. No, they're not a couple.
It wasn't in this. It was a friend of mine that I said.
Okay.
I laughed and laughed. And I was like, okay, one, I don't think you guys understand like the age difference between the two. At least,
She's a lot older than him.
Yes, but like I don't mean mathematically. I mean like for your race, you are much younger. For his race, he is much older.
Older, right?
Yep. It's more of a either brother sister or father daughter dynamic, however you want to phrase it. Just close friends and borderline, maybe even family, depending on how. I don't know how they want to approach that, but it's more of that than it is anything in a romantic sense, which was hilarious. That like I laughed and laughed so much. I was like, oh, I wish they would have asked that in chat. That would have been great to see what the heck would have come up there.
Are they together?
Are they together? No. Well, like I thought it was fair. I was like that's not like the first thought my mind goes to, but like we haven't openly expressed the connection points between each character of the group.
That would be an interesting thing to do. Like, if a lot of if you know, again, 2 or 3 people can't make it, but the 2 that we had each paired up in a sense that we knew someone in the party longer than we knew the rest of the party. So like Zyle and Ayla knew each other longer than they have known the rest of the party. So like if other people can't make it, but Zyle and I can, we could do a backstory session of play out how they met and some things that happened while they before they joined up with the party, or whoever, Mark and
I feel like you just are wanting me to just craft 6 different one-shots just because.
Sure, why not? Just fun. Just
it's
fun.
not hard at all. It's not like an infinite amount of data to pull out of your rear. No,
I'm just saying, it would be just because, those questions. I was like, wait, does Zyle and Ayla, are they a couple or what are they? It's like, no, they've just known each other for a lot longer.
Right.
And they've known everybody else. I just thought it's an interesting idea.
Well,
those things could also be a little bit more self-led. For a campaign I was in, the DM was gonna start in a couple of weeks, but me and another player were like, oh, let's say that we already met before, and then we're like, hey, can you create a private channel for us to kind of do that? So we were kind of DMing ourselves if there was a decision we made, we're rolling our. Yeah, so it was kind of just self-led, and so the DM could see it, but we're just kind of doing our stuff because it was more RP and all that,
Right. Yep. I mean, good interest. It was a hilarious question to me. I'll leave it at that. I thought it was great.
No, so Zyle and I, we have a little thing written out as to how we met.
Right.
So, it's something that, in a sense, we could play out and elongate a little bit more.
And that's, I guess that brings me to a good point of something I was going to bring up in a question, because we're definitely going to all these things will have their moment and will have their time, and we're getting there. But this is not meant to be a short, couple episode campaign. This is going to be pretty long haul. So there's no need in really rushing anything to try and we have to get this done. This episode, I'm more of I don't care if it happens early or if it happens middle or if you even hold it to late game. It doesn't matter to me. I just want you guys to do it naturally, to where you're not forcing it. You just kind of let it happen however your characters would make it happen. is more of what I would prefer, and that's a question I have for, I guess, any of the players, is just the current pacing of it, how you guys have felt. Now, granted, you guys are in what's considered a mini section at the moment, which is what the house is. It's kind of its own section thing. So I know you kind of only experienced the one, but we can use episode 1 as an example.
Yeah, we've been here a while.
We can use episode 1 as an example, I suppose. I'm actually being nice. You could have been in the house a lot longer. This was this was very short in comparison to what could have happened. You could use episode 1 as a good example, because that's like before the house and had like more different things going on. It had a wide variety of things happening in one episode, because you had exposition, you had chill, open sandbox. Do you want to go eat pie? Sure. You want to eat pie? You want to go have a drinking contest with a bunch of people we don't know and make money off of it? Sure, we'll go do that. Do you want to randomly see a hooded guy walk by? Yeah, I saw that. Did any of you guys see it? Nope. Okay, cool. Well, no, I guess we'll keep going. And just a few things, and then suddenly hard switch, and then, okay, well, Ayla's brother's kidnapped, and we are surrounded by wolves and have a magic barrier we can't pierce, and the city's being threatened, but everything's fine. And it just went from 0 to 100 like really quick. But all that to say, like, I would hope, like, even in that episode, as much things got covered, you could tell that things were not trying to be rushed in such a way that I wanted any of your characters to have to spell out their entire backstory right here, right now. Like, take your time with this stuff, flesh it out. Let's have a good time, let it be natural. Did you guys feel like that is how the world itself is flowing so far? Or do any things feel like they might be rushed in any places, or has it felt kind of natural?
I think it's been fine in a sense. I'm the type of person who just, like, in a sense wants to know, and like I'm really excited about my character and her backstory and everything. And I'm like, I want to share it with everybody, but at the same time, I'm like, I gotta wait. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a bigger payoff if you do it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, it seems like it's fine. I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine, but still, it's like, I'm excited for, like, to be able to share so much more of my character with y'all. Like, so excited.
Oh, I can't wait until all of your backstories start becoming slowly but surely unfolded.
Yeah.
Because, like, none of you...
My character has a book. Like, if you haven't seen...
I don't know how much each of you know about each other's... Because I don't think you were supposed to talk to everyone about each other's backstories, or just some of you, but none of you have a weak backstory. Like, none of you. Everybody has bangers. Everybody has some depth and some very good things to pull with. So it's going to be a ride for sure. And, like, it's fun because I don't have a single character that I think going into episodes like, oh, I have a focus on this one this week, is just going to be boring. Like, no, not a single one. It's each one of them is like, okay, I have to make sure to be nice about this, because if I go really hard at this, somebody is just going to literally die. And I mean, like, a player, there's going to die of sadness.
He had to warn me about something, because he's like, SJ's going to get really sad and depressed. So...
Well, I try to be conscious of things, so I was like, I never want to give anyone just blatant spoilers, but I think some heads up occasionally is probably...
See, I like spoilers! Well, to some extent. There are certain things where I'm like, no, don't tell me, but for the most part, I'm like, I need to know. I just want to know. Like when movies come out, I'm like, honestly, I don't care about that movie. I do want to know the end.
Nice. Elbreth, if you can remember the question, same question. If not, nope, gone. Just the pacing of things. Like, does everything feel natural so far, or are there any moments where it does feel a little rushed? Keeping it, well, I guess to be fair, keeping in mind, like there is a time constraint that we have no control over, so sometimes it will probably inevitably feel rushed when that becomes a factor. But just in terms of the way the world is attempting to flow, do you feel like you have time to do what you want to do, or does any of it feel like it's moving too fast?
No, it never feels rushed. I don't think.
I would hope not. I feel like we're making sure to embellish, but you never know. Like that's the hardest part of what I was answering initial question between being the DM and the streamer, is that sometimes it's just hard for me to be self-aware of that stuff because I'm thinking about so many other things that it's inevitable something's going to get lost in the transition. So I try to be aware of that type of stuff, that if something's going fast, I'm like, okay, slow it down. Like it's not a race. We have a long time to flesh this stuff out. Liam, same thing. Does it feel?
I don't think it's been rushed. Yeah,
Okay.
no, it seems to be pretty well paced.
Okay. Ricardo?
Yeah, I'm good with the pacing. I like the slow burn, narrative heavy campaigns anyway, so
Yeah.
it's right up my alley as far as the speed goes.
Yeah.
Right. And not to torture your heartstrings, but you think the whole Idris moment hurts you right now. Just
Why are you like this?
Get that slow burn, baby.
Who hurt you? I've met your parents. They're nice people.
I know. They're so great. It's just, that's a weird thing about D&D, man. You just get to let out sides of you that you like never let out anywhere else. Like, hey, this is free to do, right? We can torture people. It's fine. That brings forward a question about just Idris in general, I guess. So I feel like I may be answering incorrectly here, but I feel like all of you probably knew that a character like that was not permanent, that it was going to be somewhat of a temporal thing. You may not have known the extent of when and how, but probably didn't seem like he was going to be around forever.
But I didn't think he was gonna go out like that.
that was gonna
3/4 of episode
I
1 in.
cried, okay? You made me cry.
Well,
You had me.
that was going to be the question: is
There
one,
were tears.
how, like, was it expected at all? I'm assuming the answer is no, but just how?
No.
What was the thought process of that moment of when I guess let's just ask when it became clear to you that was about to happen, because I tried to give like a little bit of foreshadowing here and there, and I just don't know what all was picked up on and what wasn't. So when did it become evident that Idris was probably about to self-sacrifice? And I'll
When
just
he
do it.
got his throat cut.
Okay, so for SJ, it was in the moment itself. Captain Bex, was it evident before that, or was that until the moment itself?
I guess for the moment, for the self-sacrifice, I don't think I realized like that it would necessarily be that, or versus an accident or a direct, like someone else doing something directly to him, as like part of the way of us getting pulled over, and like in the process something happens to him, something like that. So I guess just like when he did whatever he did right before, I forget whatever it was. He did something right before he transported. So
he activated a sigil that if everybody was watching the entire episode, at the intro, when everyone kind of got to showcase their abilities in the little intro I did, he did the exact same thing in a couple different ways, to where he even talked about, he did it in two ways, to where one, he had like an explosion thing, but he also had like a small dialogue with Xyle, to where he's like, I use these sigils to like transport, and that's how I like made a sigil at the bottom of the ocean to get all these things over here. because it transported them from one place to another, is what it did. So that was one thing I wish I could have fleshed out more, because I didn't know how evident it was. But when he left to go somewhere during the festival, he went to the forest, which is where he had his dream that he was telling some of the players about. And he didn't know why, but he felt the need to make these sigils in certain places. And they were in the exact place of where Ayla's brother was, and then where he was whenever the moment happened. So it was like the dream was quite literally a vision of what needed to be done.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I didn't think, like, in my mind, that was not as evident as I wanted it to be, but there was a lot to unpack in episode 1. So I did the best I could with what I had. Richard, same question about when was it evident that old dude was gonna do it?
You had him kind of staring, like, almost past everything happening when the barrier went up.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, this is how it's gonna be. Basically, the moment. I mean, it was right before when it happened.
See, I have expected the answer for everybody to be, because I know someone in chat said this during the episode, is like the second that I made some sort of comment about everything seemed to slow down, and it was just Idris just kind of like staring and like calculating and doing things. I shifted the music to where it went from a horror tense music to this like sad piano music type of thing to kind of slow everything down and give an ambience. So I figured at that moment that was probably no, what's happening here? Because someone in chat is like, oh great, the music's sad. This can only go well. And sure enough, and it was really funny because Jay just gave like a complete layup, because I was wondering like if he was going to say anything. And Jay just looked, I can't remember exactly what he said, or something along those lines. I was like, can you do anything? I was like, can you help? And he was like, yep, I got you. I wanted more time to, because I did some foreshadowing with Ayla. Like the second that it became known that Ayla's brother was kidnapped, Idris made a point to make a comment directly at her that said, I don't remember the exact quote, but it was something along the lines like, I give you my word, I am not going to let the same thing that happened to your father happen to your brother. It's like, I don't care what it takes, I'm not going to let that happen. And that was supposed to be like the that's why episode 1 is called A Promise Fulfilled. It's like that's the promise he gave her, that he was not going to allow that to happen.
That again.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah. I mean, so like I feel conflicted about that, because like I don't like making people sad in one regard, but at the same time, like that's
me so sad.
That's what the moment was supposed to be, though. So it also is like, I guess, kind of gratifying that like the moment hopefully somewhat lived up to the nature of what we wanted it to be. Because you never know. Because like I said, when stuff is that rushed and you have a character have to go through all these phases within 2 hours, like you don't know if it's going to pay off, or it's going to be like, okay, he dead now, bye. You're not really sure how that's going to go. So it's kind of like, I hope everybody feels sad about this, because it's supposed to be, but I mean, that's D&D. You're kind of just rolling with the punches.
Hey, we got fan art out of it. I'm still sad though.
That's true. I'm that's so funny that he drew it that way too, because that's not exactly how the scene went specifically, but it still captures the moment very well, I would say. Yeah. So we're nearing.
Thanks. Now I'm just sad. We're near the end,
right.
And now I'm sad.
Way to go.
I told you this campaign would not have a whole lot of joy and happiness in it. It's a dark campaign.
Like, yes, but we're not even playing right now.
This is why we
You just had to bring up the saddest moment.
Right. Right.
Like it's not even us. Like it's sadder than like
It's the
Ayla
saddest.
watching her city burn. It's like
it's the saddest moment right now. Yeah, I'll say that again. It's the saddest moment right now. Give me time. Give me time. I'll see what I can do. I genuinely want like
vacation.
Not just sadness, like on all extremes of like of happiness or sadness or even like frustration or anger. I want to attempt to deliver as much of a cinematic experience for you guys and anyone watching that I can. It's kind of hard to do that on like an extreme level, but that I'm trying as close as I can between just the setup, the narrative, and the music to try to complement what is going on in the scenes and stuff like that. Because music typically helps a lot to reinforce certain emotions if you can make sure to match it the way you want to. Which, to me, knowing enough about music as I do, if I had not played anything during that moment, I would be willing to bet you guys would be a lot less emotional about that than you are now. That's just the effect that music has. Like whether you're even thinking about it or not, it does have that type of effect on scenes.
Is that why, like, when you're sad, you just want to listen to sad music to reinforce the sadness?
Basically. That's basically true. So we're coming near the end of the Q&A before we have a special something that we're going to do at the end. Luckily, we don't have to hard cut at 10 because the one member or one of the two members is missing today. The internet doesn't cut off at 10. But, we're still trying to be reasonable because people got to sleep and people got to work. So we're coming near the end here. But we want to give a final last call for anyone in chat that wants to ask some questions. And then wanted to give the table to any of you guys, any of you players that would like to ask some more questions. Eshe has her hand up, so I guess we'll go that route.
Who'd you like torturing the most?
I genuinely don't like torturing anybody. I honestly don't. I love getting to see you guys get into it. Is I think the better way to put it. Because that's part of the creative experience. Because even though part of this is from a book, but I'm also homebrewing stuff. So think of it kind of like making music in a sense. Like you create something and it's yours, and then I'm getting to share it with you guys. And you guys are not only like paying attention to it, but you're interacting with it and giving it its due time and respect and getting involved with it. And it's a rare thing of mutual creativity. It's just a great thing to experience. I like that. So I like experimenting with the different types of it to where I want to see what you guys do when you're sad or when you're frustrated or when your characters, mind you, like when your characters are sad or when characters are frustrated or feeling, sorrow or like all happy, all different types of emotions. Cause it's just fun to see that interplay in a world that's been created and you guys getting to just go in it and make it your own in a certain way, but also interacting with something that was created. It's hard to explain, really. It's a very unique thing, but that's what I like. So I actually, I love to mess with you guys, but I don't actually genuinely like to torture you guys. I promise.
Okay, and another question then. So, like you said, we all have pretty elaborate backstories. Whose backstory do you really like the most? Or, like, most excited to get into in this?
Ooh, I don't know if I should answer that.
How's it feel being on the spot like that?
Yeah. Well, I'm trying. This is the problem of wearing many hats. I'm trying to be careful not to say something I shouldn't. that would be spoiler territory or anything like that.
Okay, well, while you're thinking, chat, whose backstory are you most excited about hearing about?
That might be a better question. I know too much about things, so I have an answer for that, but I don't know if I want to give it. Is the problem?
You can't just say who's you're excited about. He's like, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
No, it's nothing about that. I promise, it's nothing to do with that. I'll hurt all of your feelings. I don't care. No.
You heard it here.
Session 1.
Our DM does not care about us.
No, it's less of that and more like if I give an answer, you're suddenly gonna like kind of be honed in on that.
Yeah,
I think
that's what I thought too.
Yeah.
Yep. So I was
got a pretty cool question.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Okay, yeah, we'll throw that one real quick. If you had to cast an actor or celebrity to portray your character, who would you pick? What a question. Curious of who's going to give this one. Don't everybody step up at once.
Well, like, I have a person in mind, but it's like, I just like her as an actress. So right now I'm trying to decide if she would be the best to portray Ayla, or if it's just me, like, really liking her as an actress. So I think she would still do a good job of it. But give me a second to, like, go through my head of how she would portray.
Sure.
Like, I have to go through the movies that she's in, right? See how she portrays them. So...
Richard, do you have an answer for yours?
So... I know who I want just because I adore him, but I don't know how good of a fit it would be. My heart says Oded Fair from the Mummy movies.
I don't see why that would be a bad choice.
Like the Mummy?
You know,
no.
Yeah, he's the Magi guy.
Yeah, he's the Magi. Good
he's
character.
Got the gray beard and hair now, and he's just fantastic.
Mm-hmm. I think that would be good. Although, chat, Bruce Willis would certainly be an interesting
I don't
choice.
know who that is. Who is that from?
You don't know Bruce?
No,
okay.
I know
I was going to say, like, what?
No, he's saying Ayla, Evangeline Lilly. I'm like...
That's the girl that played
The Wasp.
The Wasp, and then the elf in The Hobbit.
I could see that, but I was thinking Emily Blunt, just because I really like her as an actress.
I think Evangeline Lilly would be more appropriate character-wise.
Probably.
I think.
Right. Well, I was so like, because like my first real not interaction, but like seeing Emily, was in Devil Wears Prada, so she's just like really gruff there. But then she's also in that like horror movie, Silence or whatever. I feel bad, but I don't watch those kinds of movies. Yeah, Quiet Place. So just
Silence.
like, and then she has a good range.
Sure.
I would say, because she also did Mary Poppins. So I think she has a good enough range where she could portray her, but at the same time, it's like... I mean, my character is, like, in human sense, she's like, mid to early 20s. So it's like getting someone who can act young, but in a mature sense.
Sure.
So, yeah, so it's just kind of that balance. Like, I think both of those are good in the fact that they can portray her seriousness, but I don't know if they can really pull off her youthfulness, especially when it's those moments where she really leans on Zyle as, like, a protective figure. Like, when she... I don't know if I really portrayed it correctly yet, but like when she gets uncomfortable, it's like all of a sudden she's the little sister again, because like she has an older brother who she's leaned on, and now they've he stays in the capital and she's off adventuring. But any time where she gets at that uncomfortable moments, it's like she reverts to being the younger sister again. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I don't know who could portray that, I guess. Someone who shows that youngness, but then also just like acts mature most of the time. But it's like an act.
That makes sense. Liam, do you have an answer for yours?
No, I don't watch movies. I don't know actors.
I'm trying to think who would be a good Mark. I don't have a whole lot to go off of just yet. I'll come back to. I think I know a few, but Bex, did you have an answer for yours?
So the person that came to mind is maybe Brie Larson.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not a bad answer. I can't think of. There's an actor. What's I
also think maybe Jennifer Lawrence. Maybe.
What's the guy that played the young Magneto?
Oh.
Gosh, the German dude.
Yep.
Well, it's a German name.
Yep.
I don't know if he is German.
Is it bad that I think he would do a good Mark?
I think he would be a good Mark.
Mm-hmm.
I think Hugo Weaving would make a good Mark if Hugo was younger.
Yes, if you got younger Hugo, that would be very appropriate as well. Michael Fassbender. That's
yes.
Right. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. I think that would actually. He can do like the somber, serious type of thing very well. So I think he would do that well. That's an interesting question. Good question to give them.
I'll throw as a second pick Liam Cunningham.
Yeah.
For Zyle.
Okay. I'm just glad you didn't say George Clooney, because I was just gonna have to question all of your life decisions at that point. It's like what? I didn't understand. Okay, so
Kira, I think she would do a good job.
That was Knightley. Last call for the Q&A side of tonight. We do have a special thing that none of the players here knew about going into tonight, so this should be rather interesting.
I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful.
So,
have you met him?
So
not in person, no.
Bex, can you do me a favor and go ahead and log in and pull up Roll20?
Oh dear.
Because everybody else is already in it. We just need Bex to be there, and then we're going to shift some stuff around.
Gonna be a minute for the ad and stuff. So.
Yeah. Just so you can hear the music. Because otherwise,
I'll answer the question from earlier. What do you dislike about D&D 5e? And that's that druids don't get companions. It's the only thing.
Yeah. I want a companion too.
I have no frame of reference
Everything
for
else
that.
Is great.
I have little to no frame of reference for that question because I didn't really hop on D&D until 5e was already there. So a lot of my knowledge is just retroactive of like looking back at older stuff and seeing what it was there. But all I knew previously was 5e. So a lot of it is so streamlined that it makes more sense given that I learned it first. But I don't know how I would have felt if I had learned the other stuff first and then come into 5e. It probably would have been different. But it's hard to put yourself in that mindset when you learned 5e first. So I don't really have an answer for that. Anyways, so fun little thing. Now, since there's only 4 players here and cameras are all kinds of things, we're going to leave it on this because the visual of Roll20 is not a necessity for this. It's just mostly I wanted them to be able to have the music and the audio to kind of go.
Could I be hearing it right now?
No, there's silence right now.
There's no sound right now.
Okay.
Silence right now. So
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Yeah,
Sounds good, Retro.
I mean, Retro, I'm gonna be honest with you. That's me too sometimes. Like, I'm just here. I'm just trying to keep stuff floating. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just like, you know what? This seems cool. Here's a zombie. Why not? Just throw one of those in there. Just like a little sprinkle, a little happiness here, a little terror here. Kind of balance it out. At the end of the last episode, which was 2 weeks ago now, because we had a vacation, our players
You
came.
had a vacation.
You all had a vacation from D&D, so it still applies.
That's not a vacation. That's like
words. You had a week off until now.
We had a week off.
Yep.
Okay.
Our players left off at the bottom crevices of the dungeon that they are exploring and continued to follow kind of in the direction of where voices were seeming to come from. And they found themselves near this room with shallow water covering the floor. And that is where we kind of left off, finally reaching the room of where the voices seem to be coming from. And at the end of the episode, they finally heard, instead of what was a sea of voices at all times previously, suddenly was one distinct, clear voice that said, "Good," and then said, "Bring me the one who has seen the ancient," is the last thing that they heard. Now, we have 2 players missing tonight, so we're not going to explore a ton of this, but there is something to do here quickly. So we are actually doing a little bit of a D&D episode tonight. It is very short. It will not be incredibly long, but we have just a little material to cover that will kind of serve as a transition to set up what's going to be happening in the next episode next Tuesday. So yeah, surprise, guys. You're actually playing D&D tonight. You didn't know it. Sorry. So, it is also important to note Zyle was still unconscious when you guys left off. They had split up to where Nadar, Mark, and Ayla had gone into the room with the water, and Millard was staying with Zyle, and last I heard, Elbreth was going to stay with them as well. So, the second that the resounding sound of the voice saying "good" and saying "bring me the one who has seen the ancient," it kind of resonates for a second, and then Millard and Elbreth are going to see Zyle immediately wake up, and he is back at it. But at this exact same moment, Millard and Nadar both immediately grab their heads and just are looking down, clearly in pain and wincing, and their eyes are closed and making any sort of like instinctual like grunt or just whatever noise comes out of their characters, that there is very obvious that something is not pleasant suddenly, that they are very, very much in pain. What do you guys do?
I'm gonna move over to Nadar and try and see what's wrong with him. Are you okay?
He seems to make no response to you whatsoever. He's just kind of like looking down, just shaking his head, and like every now and then you can hear him mumble the word "no." It's like no, 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 no. But that's about it.
What's going on? What? Is your head hurt? What is it? What's happening? What were those voices? What?
Same response, just like looking down, just saying no, no, and occasionally like just saying the word stop. And go back to Zyle, who is now awake, and Elbreth, who is seeing Zyle wake up, but at the same time Zyle wakes up, you see Millard suddenly kind of like drop to his knees and holding his head.
Oh, good, Zyle, you... Millard? Can you help him?
Yeah, Zyle will just kind of when he comes to. Physically, does he have any like headache or anything lingering, or?
Zyle?
Yes.
None.
Is
You
he
are.
kind
You're not even groggy. Like you're full.
He snaps to realizing he is not where he last remembered. What is going on here? And would probably notice the other two at this point.
Mm-hmm.
We had to drag you down a bit. As soon as you woke up, this started. Know what I can do?
Would this, what they're doing, would it mean anything to me?
Roll an insight check.
Come on, dice. Yeah, baby. 23.
Can you see Nadar from where you are?
He's talking about Millard.
Okay.
Same thing's happening to Millard as happening to Nadar.
Mm-hmm.
So, unbeknownst to everyone else, but given what you experienced while you were unconscious, and some other things that you know, you do know, or have a very strong idea of what's going on. And I'm not going to say it out loud. I will actually send you a message.
Oh. Secrets.
Don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Zal's gonna get up, go over to him and like kind of put his arm around his shoulders. Lad, not you too, huh? We need to get you out of here. And he's gonna kind of scoop him up.
Okay. When you pick him up, so like you're looking at the floor, you pick him up and you look up, and when you do, all three of you are just instantaneously in the room. So like you look up, you see a different wall, you look back down, water's at your feet. You're now all in the room with the water, and the door, it was like a little gate type of thing that was separating right here, seems to like slide down and just and now you're in this room. You're not going anywhere.
Don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious.
I'm gonna assume that I wasn't looking at Millard and that I didn't notice that they got teleported into the room.
Yeah, did we hear like a splash or anything?
No splash. You just
We just saw that the door goes up.
You heard the door, and so you might think that they were there, but they're right next to you. So if you look at all with your peripherals, they're in the room.
So
Okay.
I hear the door go up. My attention goes from the door to the door.
I'm gonna use
And then-
telekinetic shove to get Nadar out of the water.
Okay. Where are you putting him?
Right here.
I see them. I turn. You're awake. What's wrong with Millard?
He seems to have the exact same response as what is happening to Nadar. So you guys are now seeing, both parties are seeing that Millard and Nadar are responding in the same way, and now you guys realize that Zio is awake and here.
Are you okay?
I'm physically okay. I'm mentally been better.
All right, we'll talk about it later. We need to figure out what's going on with these two.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that they've perhaps seen some things that they probably shouldn't have seen. At least Millard. And Nadar's doing the same thing, you think? What you say?
Yeah, all of a sudden he just starts holding his head and grunting and saying, no, stop.
You now realize, as Richard was saying these things, that one by one, these shadowy figures are appearing all around the perimeter of the room. You can think of any sort of like it's doesn't appear to be anything other than like someone in a hooded robe type of figure, and you just see blackness. So like you don't see any imagery other than just some sort of humanoid figure in a dark robe and just nothing, just pitch blackness staring into him. And there's a ton of them just surrounding the room, making these chants over and over and over again. And then
I
suddenly,
hold up my staff as if like prepared for something to attack, and just dart my gaze back and forth throughout the room, trying to, figure out what's going on.
Suddenly, the chanting stops, and you see one in the dead center on the precipice of this rising platform. There's another hooded figure, same thing, just pitch black, just darkness, has held his hand up to signal everyone to stop, and they just stopped immediately.
I want to try and, well, first I want to get Millard out of the water in case the water somehow caused the effect.
I'll allow it.
He's still up on my shoulder, isn't he?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've got him like sunk on my shoulder.
Okay, then I want to ritual cast comprehend languages.
I'll tell you, you can do that, but you likely won't finish it before this episode ends.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. So he goes to doing that. This character has held his hand up. And even though you don't see a face, you just see blackness. It turns towards Zyle's direction.
Good. The one who has seen the ancient has arrived.
Who are you?
Lord.
No,
I'm gonna cast protection from good and evil on Zyle.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Nadar and Millard still reacting the way that they do. Zyle's holding Millard, so he's going to look at him first.
Interesting. You have been near something. Ancient, but distant. Interesting.
He's then going to slowly turn to Nadar, having the same effect.
Interesting. You have been close to something ancient, but much closer.
Turns back to Zyle.
But you have seen things not fit for most to be seen.
Do you say anything in response?
Is that a threat?
He just kind of no response. Just kind of looks, gauging the room as he looks at the rest of you.
Sal's gonna kind of look to everybody's friends. I think we've overstayed our welcome, and it's time to take our chances in the mist.
There's no way out.
Yeah, we have been looking for the way out.
Tell me, Zyle of the Feywild, why do you travel with mortals who have not seen things that you have seen?
I don't really see how that's any of your business, stranger of no name.
Names are meaningless constructs in the long span of eternity.
He's just kind of staring at you.
How would he respond to this is the question.
We require death. Give us death.
You see the center of the platform of where he is starts to glow in like a very deep red, and there's some form of symbol. Can't really make out what it is at the center of it.
Is one of the... I'm just going to call them cultists. Is one of them near me?
Oh, they're all around these walls, like surrounding all the way. They don't seem to be interacting you, but they're just all behind you, still making chanting sounds under their breath, because he did like shush them, but they're just kind of like saying it low.
So, you drag us down here. You speak a bunch of cryptic nonsense. And then you demand death.
You, of all people, should know and understand.
I do quite well. So if you'll come down here where I can reach you, I'll give you a death you want so badly.
Whew. It's hard to do that voice. Getting that little tickle.
The echo thing seems pretty difficult.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah, so the sigil is starting to glow, and the chants all become louder again, over and over and over again. And I know I said initially that we wouldn't get until the next episode, but I think it's fitting that Mark, you begin to understand what they're saying.
Okay.
Although very unfortunate or concerning, you have no idea what language they're speaking.
That's fine.
But you're able to, with the spell, get enough that they're occasionally saying the word sacrifice and give it death.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's what you know.
Am I fully finished casting Comprehend Language?
You're still casting, but that's what they seem to be saying on repeat, so it doesn't seem to be any more. So you can stop whenever you want, or you can keep going to see if anything else happens.
Yeah, I think I want to keep on going.
So you'll keep on. Do you tell the others what you've heard, or are you just keeping it to yourself right now?
It seems like what they're saying is basically already known.
Yep. So I was just going to look in your direction again.
Will you not give us death?
I'll grant it to any one of you who want to step down here.
Gosh, that's hard to do. He's gonna hold up his hand, and you begin to hear silence. So the chanting stops.
Oh boy.
And you hear the rumbling of water begin boiling in the distance, somewhere in this general direction. And out from the water begins to somewhat form a shape. A very concerning shape that seems to be an amalgamation of plants, bones, and human parts, and just a whole bunch of different things that is just coming up from under. And it's a good 10 to 15 feet tall, about 8 or so feet wide. Just this big ball of twisted, like I said, vegetation and bones and what seems to be parts left over from people and a few other things. And you guys all see a beeline for this. And if you're kind of like mesmerized by it, but you look back around the room and all the hooded figures are gone. They're all gone. But
in that case, I don't need to use comprehend language.
Okay. But they give you one last thing before they go. The last one that was talking to Zyle just looks at you.
Then we will take death from you.
This big blob takes a step forward, just.
Can I attempt to sacred flame him, the dude that was talking?
You can, you go, I'll give it to you. You go to do it, and it goes straight through him and hits a wall as he's kind of ghosting out, and he just kind of gives you a cryptic,
I'm just going to call him what he is, a big fat coward.
Now this big blob has made itself right next to all of you, and it is clear that the fight's about to go down.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where we'll end tonight's episode.
All right.
That was some nice music there.
That music was...
Yeah.
Someone had some fun.
That's when the music, when you're like, oh, something's about to go down. This is not good.
Did you write that?
Sorry for the coughing. That was like my throat has that like tickle going on that like I can't. It got to the point where every time I did the voice, it was like, oh, this is just not going to work. Dang it. Tried to stick through it too. So anyways.
You did good. You did good.
You did it.
Tried. Nothing like setting the mood, but by having to cough in between sentences. It's great.
Yeah, anyway. I like that that character really needed an inhaler there, buddy.
It's, you know, musty in here. It's an old house, like, getting his allergies.
Well, there's a lot of things unknown about who you were talking to.
Well,
we know that he has asthma.
Yeah, it's bad asthma.
I dig a little.
Probably all the mold in this rundown house.
You say that jestingly.
Yeah.
I dig a little deeper if you want to know what was actually going on.
He's dead.
I might be thinking that guy is the guy that we have to actually, the big baddie, basically.
Okay. Yeah.
We're a little preoccupied for digging deep.
Because I will tell you that if you want like an idea of what's always how I'm going to handle things, like I do virtually nothing without purpose. So if I make a character wheeze, I've thought about it. of like the why. So if you want to even go down that road, like there's something. Which oddly enough,
so that was
Zyle would be like the only one of like any frame of guessing that could probably have an idea of some ramification of why certain things are what they are. But that's something you guys will have to find out on your own. Because I feel like that's fair, because that's nothing that wasn't said in the episode. He kind of threw that little gem for everybody that Zyle is, for some odd reason, getting some form of special attention from these things. But
do not want.
Right. But as an it is crazy that it worked out this way, because this actually, I can't answer this without, I have to be careful how I answer this. I didn't have to go out of my way to add anything that it worked out perfectly that Nadar and Millard would be the ones that this happened to. Like it lined up very well. So this isn't just me adding some far-fetched thing that had nothing to do with their characters. It actually works very well. So you know a couple of things. You know that for some odd reason these things have a very high interest in Zyle, and that they have detected something of similar interest on Millard and Nadar, but seem to completely ignore the rest of you, other than just kind of looking.
That's just rude.
How rude.
They don't strike me as the most kind of people.
I got a question. The door that is behind Mark, is that area closed off to us?
You talking about the gate that I told you that like slammed down, separating the water from the dry land?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no return. Like you're in this room.
All right. Do I have access to the square behind me?
These 3 dots right here are the gate.
Oh, okay.
It's not a very good drawing of a gate, but that's what they did.
All right. I guess actually Mark is probably thinking that whoever those cultists worship is the big baddie.
Okay. So we've had a pretty long night tonight. We've had a lot of Q&A and had a little bit of D&D. It was a surprise for the 4 that were here. Hopefully that wasn't too unentertaining. And I know it was short, but you got to experience some stuff. Do you guys have any final questions about maybe what even went on tonight shortly that you would like to throw out before we wrap things up and call it a night? Before I choke to death.
I do have some other questions.
Okay.
How did Elbereth's brother die?
That is not a question for right now.
Okay. That's fine.
We'll have to find out in game.
Yeah.
That's a good question, though.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only one who's asked that question so far, so that's a good question.
I did ask Lava before we played if we've seen him play his drum pre-campaign, and he told me that he has when we've been doing marches, and he also told me he's not good, but he's not bad at drumming.
Somehow that just, that just seems right.
Tracks.
Yeah. It's like, I'm not good. I'm drum. That just makes sense. Anyone else got any? Or go ahead.
One more question for me. Does Zael have any hobbies?
Interesting.
Does he have any hobbies? I haven't really. He carries a chess set, I think. No, a dice set. I'm sorry. So games of chance a little bit, but not like Millard, where it's to take people's money, relieve them of their excess coin. It's just more for like a soldier's game kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sounds good.
So, any other questions from the motley crew before we wrap the night up?
How was your vacation?
Nothing to do anything, but it was great. A lot of beach, a lot of fish. I love eating seafood, especially on the coast. That's when it's
nice
at its best because it's nice and fresh. Yeah, it was a good time. Bex, did you have one too?
There was another question that wasn't in the chat, but it was how we're processing our limited power. That was probably like a quick answers because I know we're wrapping up. But yeah, I was thinking about that right now again because like in this, I feel like Elbereth probably had a lot more stuff to like help Millard, help Nadar do whatever. So it's like right now in this situation, like we're probably feeling very frustrated,
right?
At how helpless we are, and whatever's going on, because we could totally handle this,
right? I think
in many different ways.
I think that's a very accurate sentiment. That would wholeheartedly be probably in most of all the characters that they're like, why are none of the things I can normally do working? But also, I would assume, to the best of your deductions, that your current assessments, like probably all of you, would be that it just has something to do with maybe the house that you're in, because you didn't start noticing it until that.
Yeah, the question is more so like how we feel, like emotionally, psychologically, like not like why, but like how we feel about that.
I would assume all of you are frustrated. Frustrated and confused, maybe? Because you don't have an answer.
Because I feel like, especially like, as like, Sile wakes up and goes down, it's like, I feel like Elbereth was trying to like, wanted to, I don't know, I look ahead exactly what she has, probably just like, probably something to help, like, calm or.
Well, not only that, you tried to communicate with your patron, but had nothing. So that was probably an unsettling moment for the character of like, this doesn't normally happen. What? Like, are you using the toilet? Like, are you busy? Yeah. What's going on?
Yeah, that's true. Very much so. On top of the frustration and confusion, then you also have that sense of aloneness, abandonment.
I think that's fair. I guess a good assessment. We'll just give one more for either of you, Richard or SJ.
To answer the question, or to
no, any because like both of them gave a last question, so just to give a round robin. Anybody get either of you two have a final question?
No.
Yeah, I think I got everything I wanted.
I've got a question for gameplay.
All right.
How high is the ledge around the area above the water?
So the platform, like right next to where the water is.
No. I mean like the center, the edge.
Yeah. I mean I'm just using the word platforms is like because it is elevated, but 5 feet.
Okay.
Give or take. Tall enough that Nadar couldn't jump it. And Millard's a rogue. He could do it. I say he's short, but he can get around. If he were conscious, he'd get around. But the water's not incredibly deep. It's like I said, it's anywhere from 1 to 2 feet. It's like it's not deep water. It's just there. Kind of like just constantly. It's not going to. I will tell you, if you want like a meta thing, it's not going to inhibit you in any sort of way, to where it's not going to be a detriment. It's just aesthetic. It's just going to kind of be there. Does that answer that?
I think so.
Okay. So we are going to wrap things up there. Thank you, everyone in chat, for sticking with us on this special longest stream we've ever had as Trials of Imagination, and might be the only stream to this length. I don't know. It's hard to. It depends on a lot of factors. So thank you, Richard, for hanging in there with us. I know you're probably at the verge of passing out at this point, so much appreciated there. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's definitely a big departure from what we normally do. Just kind of to sit back, have a little fun, ask questions, get to know some things between you guys, or actually even with each other, probably learning some things that we didn't previously know going into tonight, which is always a good time. And then getting to, actually play a little bit of D&D, because why not? That's what we're here for. Might as well do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fun time. So if you're watching this on Twitch, thank you very much for showing up and supporting us. It means a lot, and it really gets us pumped and excited that people are also invested in this as much as we are. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you as well. I know this is probably a weird episode to see on YouTube. Hopefully it wasn't too jarring, and we tried to make sure you guys knew what we were answering at all times. But if not, I apologize. But we tried. So hopefully that was great. And we will be resuming back to our normal festivities, I hope, next week. We'll make sure to keep you posted, but as far as I know, should be back to normal with episode 6. And I feel like this is probably pretty apparent, but just in case anybody didn't catch the memo, you guys are going straight into a battle next week with 0 dialogue. So straight into combat, I guess, second the episode starts. So prepare themselves for what is to come next week is all I have to say. Because you're going to need all hands on deck to handle... you might be in this room the entirety of next episode. We'll see. We will see. It depends on how you guys handle this. So thank you guys again for watching. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully we will see all of you next week as we go into our first ever little mini boss battle, which is very exciting, and we're looking forward to it. And yeah, we appreciate all you guys. Everyone say one last goodbye. And
Right.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye-bye now.
Till next week.
Bye.